What's going on, guys? Briar Rabbit here. Today, Bungie live streamed their final reveal for the Age of Triumph update by going over changes to the sandbox of Destiny, unveiling new weapons and armor, and updates to weapons, special ammo, and abilities. In this video, we're going to take a look at everything Bungie announced, what they didn't announce, and I'll also share some thoughts I had along the way. Let's start with the sandbox, the meta, if you will. Bungie is making some tweaks to weapons and abilities that are going to impact PvE as well as PvP in some significant ways. The first of these, and perhaps the most controversial, is a nerf to hand cannons. Hand cannon range is being reduced across the board by 3 meters. This is to further cement their role as a close-range primary option and has a lot of Crucible players very upset. I can understand Bungie's reasoning here. Hand cannons in the Crucible are still a dominant force and are very viable at all but the longest ranges. This change allows for more room in the meta for longer range weapon viability, weapons like scouts and pulses. Biggest problem in my eyes is that PvP-wise, the exotic hand cannons are going to be even less viable than they were before, and a god roll legendary like a rangefinder IS Luna will be a must. For PvE play, this also means that in close range fights, the hand cannons will still be useful, but at longer ranges, like in the King's Fall raid, it is doubtful they will be a viable choice. Kind of a bummer that there's all this hype surrounding the return of Fatebringer, but it may not actually be that good. On the other end of things, auto rifles will be getting a range buff. They got a bit of a damage bump in the last update, but as we saw in the Crucible and in PvE, it just didn't seem like quite enough. Hopefully a bit more range for these weapons can finally get them back into a viable state for both PvE and PvP. Sidearms have been a topic of a lot of conversation recently, and they will be receiving what I think is a welcome change with the update. When respawning in PvP, players will only start with 1 magazine worth of ammo. Previously, any ammo collected with a sidearm equipped would stay in your reserves, making the sidearm the absolute go-to secondary weapon choice in the Crucible. Another change to the special weapon ammo is that when a player opens a green special ammo box, the weapon will automatically be loaded with that ammo. No longer will you have to open the box, then reload the weapon. This will work exactly how heavy weapon ammo works from purple boxes currently. Between the changes to sidearms and the way ammo is picked up, hopefully this promotes a bit more variety in special weapon usage in the Crucible, but we're really going to have to wait to see how that one plays out. The artifact memory of Scory is getting the change that Bungie had previously mentioned. To activate the perk, you will have to score a kill when your super is full. The perk will stay active for 1 minute after the kill and turn off between rounds in trials. This should greatly reduce the amount of Scory campers in Trials of Osiris and is a very welcome change. Perks that regen health got severely nerfed in the last update, perhaps accidentally. Bungie is restoring many of them to their former glory, including Ward of Dawn and the Suros regime, but some of them will be keeping the change, including Red Death, Lifesteal, and the Hungering Blade. However, the ones that keep the nerf will be getting a bigger chunk of health back on activation. Hunters do have something to be very excited about. The previous edition of a recovery nerf on Blink is being removed, and the length of time that the HUD is disabled after blinking, which was previously introduced in the last patch, is getting reduced. A couple of changes to exotics that are worth mentioning here as well. No Land Beyond will now have flinch in line with other sniper rifles. A very welcome change to many. And the recently neutered Truth will be granted 1 extra rocket in reserve per ammo crate pickup, and an increase in reload speed to the max available reload speed on rocket launchers. All right, now let's talk about the brand new stuff, and a lot of this is really exciting. The biggest announcement has got to be the unveiling of the new Primary Raid Adept exotics. So we have previously talked about the image of the gold and silver Fatebringer. It turns out this was an exotic version of the Fatebringer. The new Adept exotics will feature a modified color scheme compared to their legendary counterparts, which will still be available, and will also have elemental damage, while the legendary versions do not. So, with one notable exception, all raid weapons will return and be available at 400 light level. The legendary versions of the primaries will have kinetic damage only. However, if you complete a challenge in a raid, you have a chance of being rewarded an Adept exotic version of these primary weapons. It's exotic and it has elemental damage. Overall, I'm really excited about it, but it does bring up a couple issues. One, obviously, is vault space. After 2 years of no vault space increases, the thought of having full sense of all 4 raid weapons plus Adept exotics is a serious vault space killer. Sure, we can delete the old versions and store the exotic versions in the kiosk if we don't use them often, but this is going to be a lot of new weapons. 2, these weapons are just going to be out of reach for a lot of people. To get them all, you will have to complete the challenges in the new raids, probably multiple times, which can be a very difficult thing to do in current Destiny. Many players have left the game over the years. Many raid teams have broken up. These raids are going to be hard with no revives, and completing the challenges is going to be rough. Expect increased activity on LFG sites next week. It's going to be a rough one out there. Lastly, on the primary adepts, Josh Hamrick did clarify via Twitter that all raid primaries will be getting Adept exotics. So start clearing out that vault space now. One weapon of note that is not coming back from year 1 is the Black Hammer. Bungie reasons that the Black Spindle replaced this gun in year 2 and that it just makes more sense as an exotic due to its overwhelming power. That makes sense, still sucks. Rip Black Hammer, gonna miss you. The sexual innuendos were too easy. Goodbye. Speaking of exotic weapons, we also got a look at the new ornaments for the Dragon's Breath, the Suros Regime, Lord of Wolves, and No Land Beyond. Huge mistake here not giving the Dreg's Promise a new skin. Unforgivable, 0 out of 10, would not uber tuber again. Next up, armor, and this stuff is dope. I honestly am blown away by the new sets, the ornaments, and the amount of detail in these pieces. For each set, Bungie showed off the concept art that inspired the final design, then showed off each new set with new ornaments. While we look at these, a couple of notes. The holographic ornaments on each set retract into the armor when the player takes damage and come back out when the player's health regens. It's a very cool looking effect. All 4 sets of raid armor are spectacular in my honest opinion and have really ignited my excitement for running the raids. When originally announced, I wrongly assumed the gear would just be 400 light level versions of the old stuff, which was fine, but not that exciting. This stuff looks amazing, and I can't wait to complete the full sets. Also, if this is what they're doing for Destiny 1 now, I can't wait to see what they have in store for us come September. Also shown was a set of armor that can be found by opening the Age of Triumph treasure boxes. It's a very retro year 1 kind of look to it. I don't love it, but that's obviously subjective. Also shown were some new class items available by completing a new quest line assigned by the speaker. They're probably made of asbestos or something. Don't trust that guy. I'm telling you, he is not a good guy. Briefly, let's talk about a few items that were not mentioned. Neither the Pocket Infinity nor the Dubious Valley has made an appearance. Pocket Infinity is obviously the last of the year 1 exotics that have yet to be brought to current light levels. Bungie could be holding out on this one as a surprise. It does seem like now would be the time. And I kind of feel the same way about Dubious Valley, but I'm not holding my breath on that one. I am wondering about a vendor reset. Seems like this would be a great time to give vendors a kind of best of collection. Have them sell all of the community favorites that they've sold in the past with hopefully decent rolls. With no mention of this, though, it seems unlikely at this point, and I think I'll feel lucky if there's any changes to the vendors at all. So, big update. I'm sorry this video was so long. We're clocking in around 10 minutes now. They did talk for about 45 minutes, so I didn't really cut your viewing time down too much. But I do appreciate you guys watching, sticking with me for the whole video. Thank you very much for tuning in. Hit that like button if you liked the video. Hit subscribe if you're new to the channel. And I'll see you guys next time.